The wandering Anma, introducing Ichi, the unlikely master of the blade. The classic cinematic image of the Japanese swordsman is one of noble dedication, the stoic samurai, the disciplined ronin, or the unwavering guardian of justice. But no character has captured the global imagination quite like Zatoichi. He is none of those things. He is simply Ichi, a low-ranking member of the historical Todoza, the guild for blind men, identified by his title Zato. He is an itinerant masseur, a skilled acupuncturist, a surprisingly savvy gambler, and most famously, a swordsman of unimaginable speed and precision. The saga of Zatoichi, spanning 26 films and 100 episodes of television, is not merely a collection of action sequences. It is a profound exploration of contradiction, morality, and the hidden life of the marginalized in the late Edo period, 1830s-1840s. Our journey begins by dismantling the public perception of the character. Zatoichi arrives in a town seemingly harmless. A pudgy, humble man tapping his way along with a simple cane, often stumbling or asking for assistance. This vulnerability is the cornerstone of his effectiveness. Villains, usually local Yakuza thugs or arrogant fallen samurai, consistently underestimate him. They see an easy mark, a vulnerable Anma, masseur, to fleece at the dice table or mock in the street. This underestimation is precisely what allows Zatoichi to operate, masking the legendary speed of his shikomizue, his cane sword, a concealed blade typically associated with non-samurai. This duality, the harmless appearance concealing lethal skill, is the central pillar of his appeal. To understand Zatoichi, one must understand his era. The late Edo period was a time of social and political decay. The centralized authority of the Tokugawa shogunate was beginning to fray, leading to widespread lawlessness. The traditional samurai class, the formal bearers of the sword, were increasingly becoming irrelevant, or worse, becoming criminals themselves, competing with or collaborating with the Yakuza gangs. Zatoichi, navigating this social void, becomes a natural anti-hero. He does not fight for the shogun, nor for a formal lord. He fights, when compelled, for the poor, the defenseless, and the outcast, often against the powerful local Yakuza bosses who prey upon the common people. The irony of Zatoichi is that his great skill is rooted in his great disability. Having lost his sight to illness as a child, his other senses, hearing, smell, and tactile perception, have become hyper-acute. This gives him an almost superhuman awareness in combat. He can pinpoint the position of every opponent through the sound of their footsteps, the subtle shift in the wind, or the scent of sweat and blood. In the world of the film, his lack of sight is often his greatest strength, allowing him to perceive the truth of a situation and the true character of a man far more clearly than those with eyes wide open. This first part will establish the historical and social context of the blind swordsman, introducing the audience to the world of the Bakuto, gambler, and the itinerant healer, setting the stage for his deeper philosophical struggles in the subsequent parts. His introduction is always marked by a seemingly random, quiet act of gambling, followed by an explosive demonstration of speed that shatters the peaceful facade of the rural town he has entered. He is a walking contradiction, and the Japanese film industry used him to deliver a potent, anti-establishment message hidden within the action genre. The aesthetics of Blind Fury, Zatoichi's unique combat style, and the hidden blade. The power of the Zatoichi saga is intrinsically tied to the visual and conceptual genius of his fighting style. In a cinematic tradition dominated by the rigorous formal techniques of the samurai, the deliberate draws, the balanced stances, and the overt display of the curved katana, Zatoichi's combat is a jarring, revolutionary departure. It is a spectacle of speed, misdirection, and kinetic minimalism that challenged the very aesthetics of the Chambara, sword-fighting film genre. Zatoichi's primary weapon is the shikomizue, the cane sword. This weapon is crucial for two reasons: its concealment and its legality. During the Edo period, weapons concealed within walking sticks were technically outside the formal regulations governing samurai swords. This allowed a commoner, a member of the blind guild, to carry a concealed, deadly blade without immediate challenge from the authorities. Cinematically, the slow, innocuous draw of the straight, short blade from the humble cane is an act of dramatic irony. The moment the villain realizes his fatal misjudgment is often the last second he has to live. His fighting stance, or rather his lack of one, further confounds his opponents. Unlike the samurai, who adopt a low, wide posture to maximize balance and power, Zatoichi often fights from a standing position, sometimes even from a kneeling or sitting posture, during a gambling den ambush. This lack of formal training posture is a deliberate part of his identity, underscoring his position outside the rigid martial class structure. His movements are circular, fluid, and often involve feigned clumsiness, which throws trained opponents completely off balance. The quick, low, and often diagonal cuts he employs are designed not for power, but for unmatchable speed and immediate neutralization. The core element that defines his prowess is his heightened sense of hearing, which dictates the pace and outcome of every encounter. In the films, this is often conveyed through masterful sound design. The audience hears the subtle shing of the blade being drawn, the distinct rhythm of multiple footsteps surrounding him, and the precise auditory cues of the opponent's breathing and movement. Zatoichi can gauge the distance, speed, and intent of every attacker solely through sound, rendering his blindness an advantage. He is rarely surprised, and because he does not rely on visual cues, his attacks are entirely unpredictable to those who do. He often waits until the precise moment of maximum sound confusion, a sudden downpour, a burst of shouts, or even the rattling of dice, to initiate his devastating move. However, Zatoichi's fighting is always underlined by a deep, constant grief. He is a killer by necessity, not by choice. Every swift, fatal cut adds to the immense psychic burden he carries. He never revels in violence. The aftermath of his battles is often presented with a sudden, eerie silence, as Zatoichi carefully wipes his blade and replaces it into the cane, his face etched with regret. This visual juxtaposition, the extreme brutality of his actions followed by the quiet remorse of the man, is the profound philosophical engine of the series, distinguishing him from typical action heroes. His skill is a curse, and the beauty of his fighting is always tinged with tragedy. The moral burden, gambling, guilt, and Zatoichi's failed quest for peace. Beyond the swift, lethal flash of the shikomizue, the core of Zatoichi's character resides in a perpetual state of internal conflict, a desperate yet always failed quest for peace. He is not a hero seeking justice. He is a man trapped by a past mistake, constantly seeking absolution, while simultaneously being dragged back into the violence his very nature attracts. This moral burden, the deep-seated guilt he carries, is what elevates the Zatoichi saga from a simple Chambara series to a profound philosophical drama concerning the nature of destiny and free will. The source of Zatoichi's spiritual torment is the memory of the first person he killed. Though the circumstances surrounding this initial fatal encounter are only alluded to and vary slightly across the franchise's continuity, the lasting psychological effect is consistent. It haunts his every action and decision. This primal guilt prevents him from settling down, maintaining any deep or permanent relationships, or achieving any sense of lasting serenity. He is a man perpetually condemned to the road, believing that his continued wandering, his itinerant lifestyle as a masseur, is a form of self-imposed penance for the lives he has taken, both by accident and by the constant necessity of self-defense. He is fully aware that his extraordinary skill with the blade is a double-edged curse. It is the instrument of his survival, but also the inevitable tool that forces him to violate his own deep Buddhist-inspired desire for a quiet, non-violent existence. This internal tragic conflict is most visibly manifested through his pervasive involvement with gambling. Zatoichi is an accomplished bakuto, professional gambler, with an astonishing ability to discern the outcome of the dice through minute, auditory shifts in sound and weight, a direct, practical extension of his enhanced hearing. His gambling is often misinterpreted as simple vice, but it serves a deeper psychological and narrative purpose. It is a calculated flirtation with destiny and chaos. By entering the high-stakes, lawless environment of the Yakuza gambling den, he knowingly places himself in danger, forcing a situation where the dishonesty of the house will either necessitate his intervention or force him to use his skill to gain the money he needs to survive the road. This cycle of gambling, disruption, and resulting violence is the tragic loop he cannot escape. He is unable to resist testing fate, even when he knows the test will lead to bloodshed. Furthermore, Zatoichi's inherent goodness, his constant compulsion to aid the defenseless and intervene against the corruption of the powerful Yakuza, guarantees his continued entrapment in violence. He is drawn to injustice like a magnet, a true product of the decaying moral structure of the late Edo period. When he enters a town and witnesses the blatant oppression of a poor farmer, a struggling merchant, or a vulnerable young woman, his profound moral compass compels him to act. This moral intervention, however righteous, inevitably leads to the exposure of his true identity as a master swordsman and forces him into lethal conflict, thus deepening his cycle of guilt. He cannot be at peace because he cannot tolerate the suffering of others, yet his intervention only leads to more killing and further alienation from the peaceful life he craves. He constantly attempts to lay down his cane sword and live as a simple Anma, seeking quiet companionship or a transient job. But the world, corrupted by the brutality of local gangs and the moral apathy of officialdom, refuses to allow him that escape. He is a solitary figure whose only connection to the world is the transient gratitude of the common people he saves and the perpetual emptiness of the road he travels. This deep psychological layering, the gentle healer concealing the deadly killer who yearns for a peace he knows he can never achieve, is why Zatoichi resonates as the definitive tragic anti-hero of Japanese cinema, making him far more complex than the traditional samurai figures he so effortlessly defeats. The social subversion, how Zatoichi became an anti-establishment symbol. The rise of Zatoichi to global cultural prominence cannot be attributed solely to his compelling fight scenes or his personal guilt. It is deeply rooted in his role as a powerful social subversive and an anti-establishment icon within the highly stratified society of the Edo period. The character became a vessel for a critique of the decaying feudal system, speaking to audiences both in 1960s Japan, which was rapidly modernizing and questioning its own past, and internationally. Zatoichi embodies the concept of the marginalized hero. As a Zato, a member of the lowest rank of the Blind Guild, he is fundamentally powerless according to the rigid social structure of the time. He has no formal status, no family lineage to protect, and no fixed address. Yet he wields a destructive power far exceeding that of the most highly trained samurai, the very class that was meant to enforce social order. His cane sword, or shikomizue, represents a democratization of violence, a non-samurai weapon used to bring justice or retribution. When the official bearers of justice, the magistrates, the police, and the formal samurai protectors, are either corrupt, incompetent, or simply absent. The true revolutionary impact of Zatoichi lies in his constant confrontation with the samurai class. In many of the films, the principal antagonist is not just a Yakuza boss, but a disillusioned or arrogant ronin, or a highly trained official swordsman who condescends to the blind masseur. Zatoichi consistently and effortlessly defeats these figures, often exposing their moral decay and their hypocrisy. His victories over the samurai are a powerful visual metaphor. Inner morality triumphs over inherited status and formal training. This resonated deeply with a Japanese society grappling with the legacy of its feudal past, offering a form of catharsis where the oppressed and overlooked common man could see his champion dismantle the established hierarchy. Furthermore, Zatoichi's interactions with the Yakuza gangs, which dominate the local politics of the towns he visits, highlight the corruption endemic to the period. These Bakudo organizations often operate with the tacit approval, or even the direct collaboration, of the local magistrates. Zatoichi's intervention, therefore, is not just fighting crime, it is destabilizing the entire local power structure, the unholy alliance between organized crime and failed official governance. He restores a temporary, localized form of order, but it is an order achieved through personal, illicit violence, which only underscores the failure of the centralized shogunate system to maintain peace. The character's appeal as a social subversive is cemented by his constant mobility. As a wanderer, he has no loyalty to any single village, clan, or political faction. This freedom allows him to maintain an objective moral standard. He is the ultimate outsider, beholden to no one, which grants him the unique position to act as a pure agent of chaotic correction. He delivers justice, then immediately leaves, ensuring that the restored order is temporary and reminding the audience that true, lasting justice must be systemic, a justice that the crumbling Edo state was incapable of providing. Zatoichi is thus not just a fighter. He is a silent, mobile critique of a society in decay, delivered through the universal language of action cinema. The women in his life, transient connections and the curse of isolation. A consistent yet tragically cyclical element across the Zatoichi saga is his profound inability to maintain lasting personal relationships, particularly with the women he encounters. These relationships, often tender, complex, and emotionally charged, serve to highlight Zatoichi's isolation, emphasizing the tragic nature of his life as a perpetual wanderer bound by the necessity of violence. The women in his life are not merely secondary characters. They are the physical embodiment of the peaceful, domestic life he desperately craves, but is ultimately forbidden to possess. The connections Zatoichi forms are almost always transient, reflecting the structure of the Chambara genre, where the hero must leave the town cleansed of evil. Often he encounters women who are themselves marginalized or victimized, struggling geishas, sisters seeking revenge, daughters of slain yakuza bosses, or simply kind-hearted innkeepers who see past the masseur's roughness to the gentle soul beneath. These women frequently represent purity, innocence, and the possibility of a normal existence, the very things his profession as a swordsman prevents him from having. They are the only people who truly see Zatoichi as Ichi, the man, rather than Zatoichi, the legend or the killer. One of the most powerful recurring themes is the forbidden romance. Zatoichi is often physically attracted to these women, and the feeling is frequently mutual. Yet, he invariably rejects the possibility of a stable union, and this rejection is always motivated by his own painful awareness of his lethal nature. He understands that his destiny is intrinsically tied to violence. To settle down, to marry, or even to stay for an extended period, would be to invite bloodshed and danger directly to his loved one's doorstep. His refusal to commit is not a sign of emotional deficiency, but the ultimate act of self-sacrifice and protection. He isolates himself to keep the world he cares for safe from the chaos he carries. The relationships also frequently feature an element of doomed parallel fates. Zatoichi occasionally encounters a female fighter, or a woman seeking vengeance who mirrors his own skills and moral ambiguities. These characters are often the few people who can truly understand the weight of his guilt and the burden of living by the sword. While these women offer the potential for shared solitude and mutual understanding, the stories often dictate that their path is equally tragic, usually ending in their death, or Zatoichi being forced to slay them in a duel of profound sadness. These fatal encounters reinforce the idea that violence, once embraced, is an inescapable destiny, consuming not only the hero, but anyone who comes too close to his true self. Ultimately, the women in Zatoichi's life are symbols of unachievable peace. They represent the road not taken, the quiet home, the steady profession, the family life that his moral compass, twisted by the first lives he took, can no longer allow him to attain. Their temporary presence provides the emotional warmth and brief moments of normalcy that refresh his spirit, only for him to deliberately walk away, returning to the lonely road that is his lifelong penance. This constant cycle of yearning and self-enforced abandonment makes his character one of the most compelling and tragic in the history of cinema. Zatoichi versus the Legends, crossover duels, and the challenge to Chambara Canon. One of the most thrilling and defining aspects of the Zatoichi film series is its willingness to step outside its own narrative boundaries, directly challenging the established conventions of the Chambara, Japanese sword-fighting genre, through iconic crossover duels. These encounters, where Zatoichi's unconventional skill is pitted against the formal prowess of other legendary cinematic swordsmen, serve not only as marketing spectacles, but as profound philosophical debates delivered through the language of the blade. The most famous and culturally significant of these crossovers is the film Zatoichi vs. Yojimbo, 1970. Yojimbo, played by Toshiro Mifune, is the detached, supremely skilled, and cynical wandering samurai, created by Akira Kurosawa. Unlike Zatoichi, who operates out of a moral compulsion, fueled by guilt and compassion, Yojimbo is driven primarily by profit and an ironic detachment from human suffering. Pitting these two giants against each other was a meeting of conflicting cinematic philosophies: the compassionate, blind anti-hero versus the cold-sighted cynic. Their inevitable, tense confrontation is a study in contrasts. Yojimbo's overt, powerful technique, using the massive katana against Zatoichi's subtle, lightning-fast maneuvers with his concealed shikomizue. The battle becomes a proxy war between two different forms of justice: the necessary, chaotic intervention of the outsider, Ichi, versus the detached manipulation of the master strategist, Yojimbo. These crossover films elevated the Zatoichi character from a popular serial hero to a permanent fixture of cinematic canon by having him contend with and survive, often through mutual respect and a philosophical stalemate. The most powerful figures of Japanese film history, the filmmakers effectively crowned Zatoichi as the ultimate, unassailable master. His ability to fight equally against these cited, formally trained samurai further solidified the central theme established throughout the series. The moral clarity and heightened senses of the marginalized outsider are superior to the codified, often corrupted skills of the official establishment. His blindness in these duels becomes the symbol of his true advantage, a rejection of conventional wisdom. Beyond Yojimbo, the Zatoichi films often feature encounters with various figures representing the pinnacle of different fighting schools: masters of specific sword forms, specialized weapon users, and experts in martial arts other than the sword. These duels are always structured to emphasize Zatoichi's unique skill set. He often wins not through superior strength or endurance, but through his profound understanding of sound and spatial awareness. A skilled sighted opponent might overwhelm him with complex visual feints, but Zatoichi's reliance on the absolute precision of auditory cues neutralizes the visual advantage, allowing him to wait for the single, critical moment of the opponent's imbalance or fatigue. These battles are crucial for maintaining the series' relevance and philosophical weight. They constantly reaffirm that Zatoichi is not just lucky. He is an undeniable genius, whose power stems from his ability to transcend his physical limitation and the limitations of social class. The crossovers are a celebration of the unconventional, a testament to the power of the anti-hero, and a permanent, visible critique of the traditional, often morally bankrupt figures of the Jitageki period drama genre. His survival in these duels cemented his status as the definitive, enduring legend of the cinematic samurai world. The legacy of the Anma, Zatoichi's enduring influence on global cinema, and the anti-hero archetype. The saga of Zatoichi, spanning decades of filmmaking and embodying profound philosophical and social commentary, culminates not in a single, definitive ending for the wandering masseur, but in an enduring, powerful legacy that has irrevocably altered global cinema. The character created by Kan Shimozawa and defined by Shintaro Katsu transcended the Japanese Chambara genre to become a universal archetype. The skilled, reluctant anti-hero whose greatest strength is born from his greatest perceived weakness. Zatoichi's impact on international filmmaking is undeniable, serving as a primary influence for numerous action franchises and the development of the morally complex weapon-wielding protagonist. The character established the foundational tropes of the wandering man who intervenes against local tyranny, a theme later widely adopted in westerns, martial arts films, and contemporary thrillers. Quentin Tarantino, a vocal admirer of the series, drew clear inspiration from Zatoichi's blend of extreme violence and dark humor, particularly in his development of characters who seek non-conventional revenge or justice. The very concept of the handicapped fighter possessing superior, almost mystical ability is a trope that owes its cinematic longevity directly to the success and ingenuity of the Zatoichi films. More importantly than his influence on action choreography, Zatoichi solidified the template of the tragic anti-hero. Unlike the traditional hero who finds glory in combat, Zatoichi finds only sorrow and deepening guilt. His victories are always melancholic, underscoring the film's central belief that violence is a necessary evil in a corrupt world, but never a source of triumph. This focus on the psychological cost of killing, the constant grief and the failed quest for peace, paved the way for later cinema to explore the emotional complexity of its protagonists. Zatoichi made it acceptable, even desirable, for the action star to be deeply flawed, morally conflicted, and fundamentally lonely. The final films in the concluding television run offered Zatoichi no genuine respite. He remained trapped by his nature and his skill, forever compelled to walk the lonely road. This refusal to give the character a neat, happy ending is key to his realism and his enduring appeal. It confirms the tragic philosophical core of the series, that in a world ruled by chaos and self-interest, the man who intervenes must pay the ultimate price of solitude. His blindness becomes a final, powerful metaphor for the blindness of society. Those who can see clearly often choose to ignore the surrounding injustices, while the blind man is the only one who truly perceives the moral truth of the world. Zatoichi is not merely a memory of the Chambara Golden Age. He is a permanent cultural touchstone. He is the ultimate proof that true power lies not in status or perfect physical ability, but in moral clarity and the willingness to intervene when everyone else remains silent. The enduring legacy of the blind masseur is the silent, profound challenge he continues to pose to all viewers. What is the true price of justice, and are you willing to pay it?